Coming into this game, Carlos, this was what was billed as, the game of the season, maybe not even for the Big 12, but for the country. And with how things have gone for both these teams and the kind of personnel that's coming into it, it's not quite the same billing.
Yeah, it's a long time between games for these two teams, and man, a lot has changed. Baylor's down to their third string guy quarterback, and TCU's had to play with their second and third string guys the last 2 weeks, and they're missing their center now. Now they're going to be without Aaron Curry, a defensive tackle, who becomes injury number 25, I believe.
That's correct.
If my tally is right, I got to go check my Google Docs spreadsheet again. But anyway, the point is that this game just has a lot different dynamic now that we're here than it did when the season started, what we thought we might get out of these two teams. But it should still be very good. It's just not going to have the same stakes to it.
Right. So what kind of do you see the keys for this game for TCU in a matchup that faces a second or third string quarterback for Baylor, but also has all those injuries that, of course, have been documented for TCU?
Well, there's two things. One is the battle of quarterbacks, and you have to give TCU the edge right there. Chris Johnson played very well last week, but you kind of go into that game, with adrenaline going for you, and you just play. Maybe with a week to think about it, that affects people differently. Who knows what this kid will bring to the table Friday night. But we know what Trevon Boykin's got. The wild card with him is just how well he can move around. And the second thing is whether, which offensive line wins this game against which defensive line, because, Baylor has a very good offensive line and a very good defensive line. And although TCU is a little bit healthier on the defensive line now, that offensive line for TCU has undergone a lot of changes here in just 2 or 3 weeks. So they've got a big job ahead of them against guys like Billings and some of the guys that Baylor can bring off the edge. On top of that, you got a quarterback who's probably going to be less mobile. So those are the two things, is watch how the quarterbacks play, and then watch how those lines play, especially the TCU offensive line.
Right, and Patterson even mentioned how important the play of his defensive line will be with the way that Baylor runs the ball. Everyone thinks about Baylor as that team that has the home run passing, goes deep in this up-tempo passing attack, but really it's that run attack that's been so huge with Shock Linwood and the other running backs that Baylor has, and it's probably a good thing for TCU that if it's going to come down to stopping that run game. The defensive line has been the best unit for TCU this season.
Yeah, and they're going to have to win one-on-one matchups, because as long as Baylor's got numbers where they're even in the box, they will try to run it, just because they have so much faith in Shock Linwood. So from TCU's standpoint, if they can fool Baylor into miscounting the numbers, they've got a chance to win on the run, or if they can just beat their man one-on-one.